There's one transit hub project that is going to affect every community in Chicagoland, and most investors still have no clue what's about to happen. I've been in real estate for over 5 years, and today I'm breaking down the full Fifth Avenue plan, the $900 million in new income that it's aiming for, and why it brings 50 to 60% more tax revenue per dollar than the usual kind of development. Stick with me because this impact goes way beyond the suburbs. Okay, let's start with what we're actually facing here. The Fifth Avenue development sits around the Naperville metro station. This station gets more than 4,000 weekday boardings, plus another 30,000 Amtrak passengers every year. You also have iconic long-distance trains like the California Zephyr, the Illinois Zephyr, Carl Sandburg, and Southwest Chief, all moving through this single spot. Now in late 2025, the station gets service from 70 metro trains on weekdays and all 40 trains on weekends and holidays. To put that in perspective, this is one of the busiest transit hubs in the entire Chicago area. Right now, it's surrounded by what the Urban Land Institute calls a huge amount of blacktop parking. And the redevelopment plan includes a few key ideas. You have mixed-use buildings with homes, above-ground floor shops, and new parking garages to replace those 1,700 open-air spots. The plan also adds better walkways through the whole area and updates all the roads and utilities around the station. And stick around till the end because I'll explain how this project affects the whole region long-term. I'm getting to that in just a few minutes. Now the main point is that John Telty, who leads OKW Architects and also chairs the Urban Land Institute team that studied the area, said that the station doesn't match what Naperville is today. That means this plan wants to completely change the way people get in, get out, and move through one of the most important transit hubs in the region. The Urban Land Institute brought together nearly 100 stakeholders in June, including residents, business owners, civic leaders, city staff, and elected officials to rethink the space. Their recommendations, released on September 10th of 2025, they outline a phased plan that grows in steps and changes depending on the area. You have a western zone along Washington Street corridor that could support higher density buildings, including a possible 750 vehicle commuter garage, connected by a pedestrian bridge. The station area would get new landscaping to create a plaza-like feel, and the eastern zone would step down in scale with smaller buildings that blend in with the nearby neighborhoods. Now, as we continue to break this all down, remember this. I'm here to help you navigate this market with more confidence. And if you've got questions about how any of this applies to you, just reach out. All my contact information is going to be below in the description. Now let me explain why this matters for Chicago, not just Naperville. Here's a number that'll change how you think about suburban development. The Metro had 35 million passenger trips last year. The BNSF line, where this station sits, it carries a huge part of that number because it's Metro's busiest line. Let me show you the scale that we're dealing with. This 37.5-mile corridor runs over 80 trains on weekdays, with trains coming every 30 minutes during rush hour, and it links Chicago Union Station to Aurora. And get this, Chicago Union Station is the third busiest rail station in the United States. It handles about 130,000 passengers every weekday across 6 different metro lines. And there's an important cost point that's coming up later that most developers miss. It helps explain why projects like this bring in 50 to 60% more tax revenue for every dollar spent. Stick around. Now, you know why this development matters so much for Chicago's workers? For 3 straight years through 2024, the region saw transit ridership go up by double digits. Metro alone saw a 9% jump in 2024 and gave nearly 35 million rides that year. And the big surprise is this. Weekend ridership on some metro lines is now higher than before the pandemic. This shows that people aren't just using the transit for the old Monday through Friday work commute. Shopping, dining, and going out are growing fast. And that makes mixed-use areas like the Fifth Avenue even more valuable. The Regional Transportation Authority said that this is going on because CTA, Metra, and PACE added new services that meet what riders actually need today. In late 2025, Metra added more express trains on the BNSF line because demand kept going up. When a big suburb like Naperville strengthens its connection to Chicago, it shifts how the whole region works. Suddenly, workers have more choices in where they live while still keeping access to their jobs. And that changes the competition for every community along this corridor. All right, now let me show you the hidden story behind everything. 5 feet. That's how wide the sidewalks are on Washington Street right now. It's 5 feet of concrete sitting right next to heavy traffic at one of the busiest transit stations in the region. You're literally walking inches from cars rushing to catch their trains. The current setup shows the whole problem. Washington Street between Ogden Avenue and Benton Avenue has almost no streetscape at all. You've got 5-foot sidewalks placed right at the edge of the curb. And you know what? It's not comfortable when thousands of drivers are passing you every day. Structured parking replaces the surface lots, and that opens space for green areas and new shops. The panel from the Urban Land Institute said about 80% of the current parking spots could stay while freeing a huge amount of land for other uses. And the real estate trends that I'll talk about later are directly tied to walkability upgrades like these, so make sure to stick around for those. Now, the improvements that they want include wider sidewalks where they can still fit them. They want better spaces between people and cars by using furniture and landscaping. The plan also adds upgrades to the railway underpass with better landscaping and stone walls, and it adds better bike storage so more people can ride their bikes to the train. Here's what this looks like in real life. The panel looked at the Page Children's Museum site as a place for a commuter garage with room for 750 cars. It could connect buildings across Washington Street with a walkway. The museum opened its Naperville location in 2001 and has welcomed more than 1 million families. It could stay in its current spot with upgrades or move to a new space that serves the community better. And Naperville's already shown that it could build this kind of walkable space. The Eagle Street Gateway project on the Riverwalk opened in November of 25. It was a roughly $2 million project that replaced a plain wall with wide steps and terraces connected by an accessible ramp. This lets visitors with mobility challenges move through the Riverwalk without having to walk back along a 1,000-foot dead-ended path. These upgrades completely change the way people move through the area. They help build the kind of activity that supports local businesses and raises property values. Now, what happens when you put apartments above coffee shops and restaurants? You create foot traffic at 7 a.m., noon, 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. instead of getting one big spike only during rush hour. Mixed-use areas create steady foot traffic that helps businesses all day long, not just when people go to and from work. The location matters a lot here. Along Washington Street, the panel wants taller buildings with shops or restaurants and the ground floor apartments above them. This builds a street where people live right above the places that they shop at. It creates steady activity all day long. These homes would be meant for a few key groups: young professionals who work in the I-88 corridor or who commute to Chicago, empty nesters who want to downsize but still stay near transit and local services, and commuters who want to drive less or stop driving altogether. But this is a big difference from the last time that they tried to build something here. Back in 2018 and 2019, Ryan Companies brought a big plan, but a lot of residents pushed back because of the height and the density. The panel from the Urban Land Institute talked about those concerns. They suggested building things step by step with more than one developer instead of a single company doing everything. They also suggested taller buildings close to the station with shorter ones as you move toward the nearby neighborhoods. They also used creative design ideas to keep the building heights flexible. Now let's talk about the market. The data through October of 2025 shows the average Naperville home value at about $600,000, which is up 5.3% from last year. Homes go to pending in about 14 days. This place is now the third largest city in Illinois, with a population of over 153,000. It passed Joliet. So you're building a place for commuting, errands, eating out, and daily life. They all fit together. For families that want convenience and for workers who value their time. This mixed-use plan takes away a lot of the stress of suburban living while keeping the space and quality of life that people actually want. Now let me break down that long-term regional impact that I talked about earlier. $2.6 billion in extra economic output by 2045. That's what Naperville is aiming for in the I-88 corridor, and the Fifth Avenue project is a key part of that plan. Research from the Chicago RTA shows that transit-focused projects can cut infrastructure costs by 25% compared to car-focused development. They also generate approximately 50 to 60% more tax revenue for every dollar invested. The Metropolitan Planning Council says communities that want better transit need to change the way that they build. They need enough people living along the key corridors to support high-frequency transit. Large parking lots are the opposite of what makes transit fair and easy to use. In the best setup, most people would live and work close enough to walk or bike to the station. But the bigger story is the regional impact. Mayor Scott Worley has called the I-88 corridor the largest and most important redevelopment opportunity in the city's history. A 2024 AECOM study from the Naperville Development Partnership set goals for 15,000 high-paying jobs by 2045, the $2.6 billion in extra economic output we talked about earlier, and $900 million in new labor income. To help fund the major upgrades needed, the panel from the Urban Land Institute suggested that Naperville consider creating a tax increment financing district. Under Illinois law, these districts let towns use the growth in the property tax revenue within the district to pay for improvements that bring even more development. The path forward includes several big steps. The final ULI Chicago report was released in the fall of 2025. The City Council needs to choose whether to focus first on the Fifth Avenue project or on the I-88 corridor for a $150,000 planning study in 2026. A master plan will be created if Fifth Avenue is chosen. Then comes a detailed parking study, a possible TIF district, and step-by-step development over time with more than one developer. Research shows that many homebuyers say they want more space when they think about moving to the suburbs. At the same time, many suburbs now have transit-focused neighborhoods that give easy access to the city centers. This project is bigger than Naperville. It's a model for how Chicago's suburbs can grow into walkable, connected, and strong economic centers while working with the regional economy instead of competing with it. So now you can see what I mean. The Naperville Fifth Avenue development is a model for how Chicago's suburbs can grow into walkable, connected places with strong local economies while still helping the whole region. If you're looking at the western suburbs and want to understand how projects like this can affect home values and when to invest, shoot me an email at john@syntagerealestate.com or text me at 708-612-0644. I study market shifts for these clients in DuPage County every single day, so don't miss out. And if you want to keep going with this topic, check out the video I've linked here about 7 Chicago suburbs that'll grow fast in 2026. I'll show you exactly which communities are ready for the biggest growth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.